Welcome, everyone. I'm so glad that you're able to be here and join us and listen to Dr. Robin Lockhart give us her pearls of wisdom regarding AI. Dr. Robin Lockhart professionally focuses on the education, retention, and support of pre-licensure, post-licensure, and graduate nursing students. She has served as nursing faculty member for the last 30 years. She holds a BSN from Midwestern State University and an MSN and PhD in nursing from the University of Texas in Arlington. Her scholarship focuses primarily on pre-licensure student retention. However, she has secured external funding to support nursing student retention, provide new technologies to educate nursing students, increase nurse practitioner enrollment and clinical placement, and improve the resiliency of healthcare providers. During her 38 years of nursing, she worked in emergency, critical care, cardiac care, post-surgical, medical, and pediatric units in 3 acute care hospitals. She has served as a relief house supervisor for 16 years. She is a champion of new technologies. Today, she is speaking about the use of artificial intelligence in academia. She will share ideas on how to reduce the challenges associated with its use and how to use it to the advantage of the nurse educator in teaching and scholarship. I welcome you, Dr. Lockhart. And for those of you that are just joining us, please note that the PDF for this presentation is in the chat so that you may download the slides. Welcome, Dr. Lockhart.
Thank you so much. And I do encourage active participation in this presentation. So if at any point you want to make a comment or ask a question, please do so. That will not disturb my train of thought. As I was explaining earlier to Linda, I teach primarily undergraduate students, and they pop up all times of the lectures and activities that we do. So I'm very comfortable with all of that. In fact, if you need to get up and leave, please do so, and you can come back. I won't disturb me either because I'm used to that as well. So it takes a lot to really distract me from what I'm talking about. But what I want to talk about today is artificial intelligence, but specifically, I want to talk about artificial intelligence and how we can grasp its potentials and use it to our advantage. Although I will also talk about some of the challenges with the students. And to start this conversation, I want to show you this first photo that I have here on this slide. I used artificial intelligence to create that photo. So I used a site that will do an image creator, put in I wanted artificial intelligence as a teacher, and that is the photo that it generated. I come from Wichita Falls, Texas, which is a small, about 100,000 people community in North Texas. I'm about 150 miles northwest of Dallas, right at the Oklahoma border, actually. And I am a graduate of this university's nursing program, my associate degree and bachelor's degree. And I have been teaching here for 30 years. And coming from a small community like this, I'm always on the lookout. What's new? What's different? Something to spark some interest in my day. So I'm going to talk a lot about different AI resources, but only as examples. I'm not receiving any kind of monies for any of the information that I'm sharing on this. It's all informational only. And as I said, I want to talk about promoting student learning and faculty efficiency with AI. That's going to be my primary point. But I know most of you are probably more interested in the common challenges associated with its use, and particularly student cheating with its use. And I will cover that as well as some methods to prevent it. So those are my two things. So how is AI different than Google? That's the question I get most often, is how do they work differently? And what Google does is it just searches for information. It's an information retrieval search engine. So once you put in your key concepts, it will come up with information it thinks is linked to those concepts. So when students use Google to create whatever it is that they're wanting to create, they're just doing information retrieval. They're just repeating back to you what it is that they found in that search, unless your assignment has something that makes them interpret that information or synthesize it and create something new from that information. What you're going to get back is information retrieval. However, AI works a little different. What AI does is it looks at all that information, but it's looking for the patterns within that information. So it is going through and trying to pick out how are things alike, what kind of pattern is it making, and then it has the possibility, these AI searches have the possibility of essentially creating information from those patterns. And that's very much like this. You've probably seen these kinds of puzzles where it says, what comes next in the series? And you're supposed to look at the patterns, and whatever answers you put in those two question marks, that you've generated that information based on the pattern that you're seeing before that. And that's what AI does. It just does it on a massive scale. So it can search through all these patterns and come up with some sort of interpretation. And that's what makes it a little more difficult for us when we're talking about using it with students, because now, even if your assignment does say interpret this information, then AI can help them interpret it. And that's the differences in how these two types of information retrieval work. However, I believe that artificial intelligence is going to be most beneficial to educators, even more beneficial to educators than it is to students. And that is kind of my challenge, is to make it more useful for educators than it is for the students. And how I came into this is I was in a webinar through AACN, and I don't even remember what the topic of the webinar was, but it didn't have anything to do with artificial intelligence. But the person who was presenting mentioned ChatGPT, and that was the first time I'd ever heard of ChatGPT. And when she mentioned that, I thought, well, what is that? And everybody in the room started, yes, the students are using it for cheating. And what are we going to do? And I didn't know what it was. So I immediately popped up Google and searched ChatGPT and opened it up. And I was listening to what these other people were saying it could do. And I was practicing that. And it was love at first sight. But my first thought with this was, listen, every time we get new technology, we're fighting how the students are using it to cheat, and we never seem to be able to embrace the benefits of this new technology because we're spending so much time chasing them in their use of it with cheating. And I said, I am done. I am just done. This is going to be for us, and we're going to be able to use this new technology. So one of the things I want to show you is can everybody see my screen now that I'm on Microsoft Bing?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, good. So this is Microsoft Bing, and this is an image creator. So this is the image creator that I used, and I can put any kind of image I might want to see in here, and it'll come up with something. I will tell you, you don't really want it to use any words because it doesn't seem to understand any language. Whatever it'll put up on there, it won't be a language anybody knows. So I try not to ever have the image include wording, but you can certainly use wording in the search. So for example, I might want to put AI as a nurse, and then hit create, and it's going to give me something. Now, sometimes I like them better than others, and you can do it over and over and over till you get something you like. I also find it tends to have kind of a futuristic look to it. That's a limitation. So there you can see that we have AI images as a nurse. So that's how quick it can work, and you can use those then in your presentations. Oh, some other AI tools that I wanted to show you. Let's go to the next one. And I opened all these so I wouldn't have to sign in. This is a blog from somebody named Dan Fitzpatrick. I don't know who he is, but he does have a list of AI tools that would be helpful to, or he thinks will be helpful to different people, and particularly, I think many of these would be helpful in education. So I wanted to give y'all that link of some tools there. And then I have another one open here. This person is an Instagram influencer, and she talks a lot about AI tools, but she talks about them specifically for grade school teachers. She uses a lot of those. And so she's made this tool here. Let me put my email address in there and it'll come open. So she's made this tool here that lists a lot of tools that she uses in elementary education. And some of these are really good for even at the university level. QuestionWell, I'm going to show you in a moment. So there's some of these are really, really good. So I gave you a couple of sources there for different tools that you might want to use as AI tools, not just ChatGPT, although I think ChatGPT is a great tool as well. I created this image using that Microsoft Bing. I put in, what did I put? A teacher creating AI, something like that, and got that image. All right, so one of the things you can use AI for is to help you with item writing. So this on the left-hand side is QuestionWell. That's one of the AI tools. What I did with it is I uploaded a journal article on pediatric diabetic ketoacidosis and asked it to give me some outcomes and some questions. And so here's an example question that it gave me. What is the effect of insulin deficiency on BUN levels and DKA? And you can see that it gave me some options there. And one of the outcomes, it gave me like 10 outcomes. And one of the outcomes was to identify the pathophysiologic process of DKA. Now, one of the nice things about QuestionWell is that the questions can be directly exported to some of the polling apps, such as Kahoot. So it's a very quick and easy way if you want to create something in the classroom to do polling, to get those. It just takes it straight from the articles that you upload. I believe it'll also do YouTube videos, although I've not had as much luck with YouTube videos. I think maybe I need to download the video so it only plays that one video, because I'll get a bunch of questions about things that are not even in the video. But it'll definitely do journal articles quite well. Something I like to use ChatGPT for. And when you're writing test questions, probably one of the things that is the hardest thing about writing test questions is coming up with the wrong responses. So oftentimes I will ask it to write me X number of wrong distractors for the question. For example, the question is, what is the pathophysiology of diabetic ketoacidosis? And you can see it gave me 5 wrong answers. And so that can help me with those distractors. You can ask ChatGPT to write you questions as well. You can say, write me a multiple choice questions with 4 distractors on whatever topic that you want it to write on. The clinical manifestations of DKA, and it'll give you that. It'll give you those types of questions. Now, one of the things I want to caution you with all of this, and this is going to be true on the student side as well, and we're going to use that part to our advantage. But on all of this, you're going to have to put some effort into it too. Once you get it, it's not going to be transferable directly into whatever it is that you're using the AI for. You're going to have to do some edits. What I find is the big advantage with AI is how quickly that you can get these ideas and start then editing rather than trying to the slow process of creation and creativity that goes on in that creation. So the item writing is one thing it really has helped us. The person who has the office next door to mine has just been most grateful that I have shown her ChatGPT for this. It speeds up item writing. You can also do slide presentation generation with something called Gamma, and there are many, many other programs that do this. Gamma's not the only one. Gamma's the one that I find does the best job with it, but it does have some limitations as well. And I should have it open on here too. Let me see if I can get down to where it's at. I believe this is Gamma, yes. So you go into Gamma, you pick presentation. Okay, come open. I probably already have it
I got
open.
my 8:30 meeting this morning. So I had to change, right? I'm on the AI. Not what you think. It's not what I thought.
Okay.
It's how teachers can use AI to make tests, to make presentations, to make things. You put it in. It's amazing. Make images that are non-copyrighted. I just put an emotional tone.
Yes, you can just put it in. I can't get Gamma to open, but I wanted it to open because I wanted to show you just how quickly Gamma will create this. That's one of the things that amazed me the most was just how quickly, and I think probably a reason I'm having trouble with it is I probably have something open in it. And I'm, let's see if I go home, if it'll do anything. Yeah, here we go. So this is one that I created just as an example for you guys of as a PowerPoint presentation. So what I wrote in the search term was to give me a presentation that is on diabetic ketoacidosis. I asked for etiology, diagnostics, clinical manifestations, treatments, I think is the things I put in there. And these are the slides. This is unedited. I've done nothing to them. These are the slides that it created. And it created it within 30 seconds. So you can see they're kind of pretty and certainly a good place to start. Then it can be exported to PowerPoint if you wanted to export it. You can also present it from there. So you provide a talk, it will suggest an outline, edit the outline. You can edit the outline and then it'll immediately create the slides to match the outline and can be exported. So that's kind of a nice thing as well that could be done. I asked ChatGPT at one point, are there professional organizations that have published guidelines for the safe administration of intravenous medications? And you can see that these are the things that it returned. So it's a nice way to get what information's out there, and then I can go and find this information as well. So that was a quick way. Then rather than doing a Google search and having to redo my keywords, this will get me a very quick way to, as a start, to find whatever it is I'm looking to find. And like I said, in this case, I was looking for safe administration of IV medications, and it gave me this list. Now, I will caution you that ChatGPT has access to whatever's on the internet. It does not have access to paid sources. So if it is something that you're going to have to locate through a like an EBSCOhost journal search, it's not going to have access. It will find maybe the reference from something that's on open access on the internet, but it won't have access to the journal articles themselves. You'll have to find those for yourself. And also ChatGPT is only current through 2021, and it will tell you that. You ask anything about 2022 and beyond, it'll say it only goes through 2021. This particular AI product is Research Aid, and it is what they call a research assistant. So here are the safe practice guidelines for adult IV push meds from the ISMP. I uploaded those into ResearchAid and said, what is ISMP's position on diluting medications prior to administering them intravenously? And it read the document for me and told me this is the position that is in there. So that's something else that ResearchAid will help you locate sources as well, but it is really good for finding out and summarizing what are in those resources once you find them. This is SciSummary. It's also a research assistant. I put that same document in SciSummary, asked it to give me the key points, and these are 3 of them. It gave me more than that, but these were the 3 key points that it got from that search. Course management. This might be of interest people teaching online courses. Course management using ChatGPT. I asked it to create me a course on evidence-based nursing practice. I needed, I said I wanted however many modules are here. I told it exactly how many modules I wanted. And I don't remember I don't think I even gave it the course goals. I think I just told it evidence-based nursing practice and asked it to with 5 modules or 4 modules, whatever's in here. And it created the rest of this for me. So it gave me the course description, the course goals, and then all of these different modules. Now, again, like I said, this is a great start. Would I just directly pull this off and set up my course? Probably not, but this certainly gives me a good place to start in doing that course. I've used ChatGPT to do lesson planning, and then there are some AI apps that are specific to lesson planning. I haven't used those yet, but they do exist. But I use ChatGPT to do a lesson plan. So in this particular one, I wanted to do a gallery walk on nursing care of a person with sepsis. And so I asked it that, and I think I did give the objectives to this one. And then it came up with the rest of that. I didn't even have to explain what a gallery walk was because it could see from the information online what that was. And so then I was able to take this and create my gallery walk. And of course, again, I did some editing to it when I actually did do the project. So those are some things that it'll do. I noticed somebody had said something about using ChatGPT for grading. You can use ChatGPT for grading or AI for grading. There are some tools specifically for grading. And typically what you do if you're going to grade with these tools is that you will copy and paste or either save things as a PDF and upload it into the app. And when I have used it for grading, and I've never used it for grading, actual grading. I have used it to see how it will work for grading. But the things that I have done is ask it to find the themes that are in the discussion post, for example. And then I could compare those to the themes that I asked them to come up with or the items I asked them to come up with. I've also asked it to find grammar and spelling errors. It does that quite well, better than I do. I've asked it to come up with a counter argument to whatever the students have posted. So that is very possible to do some grading with this as well. It's not something that, let me move this over. It's not something I've done yet, but I can see where that could be a possibility and save some time, especially if you're teaching online courses where you have a lot of papers and stuff like that that you're having to grade. I do mostly multiple choice tests because I teach a pre-licensure nursing program. I was going to look and see. I have a presentation where I did the grading. When I did the presentation where I put the grading in, it kind of infuriated the audience a little bit. They didn't think that was very ethical to grade with it. But you certainly can do it. see if I can find where I did it. One minute. No, I know I have it, but I'm not finding it. Here we go. I'm going to put this up over here and you can see it. So here's a question in student submission. So the question was to read and provide meaningful feedback on this paragraph about the importance of theory as a framework. So there's the paragraph. And then this is the ChatGPT answer that it gave. So this is what the students' post would have been about. And then what information about the importance of using theory was not included. So this is my grading it. What was not included in that paragraph. And so it'll do that grading for me. So the first one is, this is what the students were supposed to do. And the answer that I think this is what their response here to the question. And then this was the answer. And I let it grade that answer, but then I said, what's not included? And so it'll tell you what's not included. And then I asked it to look at the grammar within it, and it looked at that as well. So very quickly, I could do 3 types of grading with this one discussion post. I could do what did they come up with to give them some feedback. So you can see this will provide, the paragraph provides clear and concise explanation. So that's some feedback. The author starts by emphasizing that the nursing theories are foundation, blah, blah, blah. Then I gave it what was missing, and then I did the grammar. So you could very quickly grade these discussion posts. You could do papers the same way. I used it to grade discussion posts. So grading is possible, and there are actual apps that do grade. All right, so now I'm going to switch over and we'll talk about some of the challenges associated with the use of these AI tools. And the one that, of course, most faculty are worried about is the plagiarism, because it is very possible for students to write in, to have the whole assignment written by an AI tool. So here's an example. What if you had sent a student to visit a homeless center and they were supposed to write a reflection? They could easily put into ChatGPT, write a reflection on what I might learn about nursing while visiting a homeless center. And there you go. Here's a nice reflection of what you might have learned: the importance of compassion and empathy, the role of education and advocacy, that nurses can play a crucial role, the need for creativity and flexibility. So this was all ChatGPT generated from that one sentence. Took it seconds to generate that. And I could see that if this was submitted, that it would probably get a very good grade. Let's do another one. So I teach undergrad. Write a nursing care plan for a patient who's experiencing impaired gas exchange due to an exacerbation of emphysema. Provide rationales and references. And there you have it. So there's the nursing care plan, and then there are the rationales and the references at the bottom. So within seconds, we have a nursing care plan created. However, there are errors. There are always errors in what you get in these AI. And those errors are going to be one of the ways that'll help you figure out whether it is AI generated or whether the student has generated to themselves. So here's a good example of one of those errors. I asked ChatGPT, what is the American Association of Colleges of Nursing position on high stakes testing? Provide a reference for the position. Now, I know from dealing with AACN that this actually is their position on high stakes testing. I know that from reading their documents prior to me even playing with this question in ChatGPT. What is interesting about this is the reference. That reference does not exist. It has never existed. ChatGPT made it up. ChatGPT has difficulty with references. Because it doesn't have access to the EBSCOhost and those types of things. It has difficulty with references. But what it can do is it can generate a very feasible sounding reference, because it'll look at the patterns of things that are on the internet. And so it came up with this reference. So when you think about your students putting in different types of information and you think, I wonder if this really came from the student, go and look at the reference. That is one of my chief things to say is check their references, because ChatGPT will make them up and make them sound good. ChatGPT is not great at solving problems. So putting in problem solving into your assignments can help as well. I tried this question: what's the rate of infusion in milliliters per hour if the order is for nitroglycerin 10 micrograms per minute and the concentration is 50 milligrams, 250 mils? I wrote this question 5 different ways, trying to help this program come up with the right answer. And you can see it'll give me a formula, and but its answer is always wrong. The answer is 3 mils per hour, and it came up with 50 mils per hour. It is not great. AI is not great at problem solving. And if you'll remember, I'm going to go back a few slides. Didn't really plan on doing it that way, but that's okay. I'm going to go back a few slides. And show you. If you'll remember this slide, I asked ChatGPT to solve this, and it came up with the answer. What was the answer? Something like 61 and 32 or something like that. But what it said was the way that it was solving it, it was using a mathematical formula that was 2 times n squared minus 2n plus 1. Well, that does not work. That is not the answer. The answer to this is, I can't remember what this one is. So this one's 161, and it never could come up with that answer. It is not good at problem solving, so that you can use that to your advantage as well. Now, I'm sure all of these programs are going to get more efficient, and we'll have to change some of our strategies as we go along. So how are we going to reduce plagiarism and cheating? Well, there's lots of good ways to do it. First, educating about plagiarism and cheating, which we're already doing, does help. The research has shown that if we use honor codes, if we put in our syllabi that we're not going to tolerate that we educate on what it is, why it's wrong, that there are a great number of our students that will not do it. We can use detection software. Turnitin is now having an AI detector. One of the things students are doing now is to have ChatGPT created, then take it to another AI program app that will make it sound less AI. So there are apps out there that are intended to make it sound less like AI is creating it. It won't create it itself, but it'll take something that has been created by AI and then rewrite it. So they're using that to help get past some of this detection software. But then the AI is what's operating that detection software, so it's getting more and more sophisticated as well. So definitely using detection software and checking for originality is a great way to do this. As I've already said, verify the content and the sources, because AI will lie, because what it's looking at is generating knowledge through pattern recognition. Well, sometimes we're wrong. I don't know if you knew the answers to what's next in the pattern, but I didn't know the answers to what's next in the pattern because it's apparently something I haven't quite figured out. Maybe it has a little math in there that I haven't considered. So I may come up with answers that are terribly wrong. Well, AI will do the same. You can misinterpret the patterns, and that's all it can do is interpret patterns. And so if we kind of keep that in mind, then we can use that to our advantage. So some things specific to AI is when you do have these assignments, require critical thinking and or problem solving. It is not good at problem solving. So require some problem solving. Even back when I looked at the reflection on the homeless, require them to give specific stories that happened during that visit will help make that more contextual, and therefore it will not be all AI generated. I really think we should allow students to use AI. I think that it speeds up the thinking process, just like it will for us, but that we want them to do the edits and the expansions that we're having to do when we use AI as well. Applying things to specific situations and things that you need creativity for, putting those in those assignments. One of the assignments I think would be a really good one on discussion boards. I haven't taught an online class since I started using AI, but you know how in those online discussion boards, students don't really like to post a discussion, then have to post something to their classmates. And they're always putting in, oh, great job. And we have to write these very elaborate things that say, you must put in more than just great job. You must critically identify things in your classmates' response, or you won't get the points, that type of thing. Something you can do with ChatGPT and some of these other AI is you could have them create a response, post their response to ChatGPT and ask ChatGPT to give a counter response, and then have the students counter that response. And so they could clearly show, this is my response, this is ChatGPT's counter response, and this is my counter response to ChatGPT. So that really takes a lot of thinking, lets them use the AI, and then you get more depth into their responses than you oftentimes do. It's easier to tell ChatGPT, I think you're wrong, than it's to tell your classmates that I think you're wrong, or that you haven't thought about it to the detail that you need to. So that's something that you can do to reduce some of the plagiarism as cheating. I want to remind you that even though these things do have this capability, they are much easier to find when it's AI language. You can use an app yourself that looks at, is this AI language? So you can post whatever they give you and say, is this created at all by AI, or what percent? And it will tell you that. So you can use that to find it that way. But cheating among students is there is so many methods that they can do. I just last week had a student who was using a ghostwriter, and all of the papers were coming through Turnitin with very little similarity. It was like 1% to 6% similarity. She had written, because she was in multiple classes, she had written 3 papers and several discussion topics, and all of the similarities were very, very low. But she was using a ghostwriter that she hired from Kenya, and she was from Kenya. She's from Kenya as well, living here in the United States, but she's from Kenya. And she didn't pay her ghostwriter. And when she didn't pay her ghostwriter reported her. And so that's how we found it. Otherwise, we would not have found it. She's a totally online student in an RN to BSN program. And so even though AI does offer these opportunities for plagiarism, it's one more way. There are so many different ways that they can do it. And so we have to always keep our eyes open, our ears open, and that sort of thing. I think it's much easier to choose and find AI problems than if they're hiring somebody to write, a real person to write. So opportunities to use these AI tools. I think that we should use them for student learning, that we should individualize assignments at the student's current proficiency level that encourages them to use AI tools. That interactive assignments, as I said, between student and AI, such as the thing I told you about with the ChatGPT. Collaborative learning with classmates can be done through AI tools, and that would be a great way to promote student learning. Creating engaging learning activities, something that they could use AI to do. So different kinds of gaming that could be done, jumpstarting creativity and problem solving. I use it all the time personally to jumpstart my creativity. As far as faculty productivity, I've shown you how you can create assignments using it, or lesson plans, how you can use it to do item writing or grading assignments, how you can use it to do research for whatever your research interest is. Definitely reducing writer's block. I wrote a HRSA grant recently, and there were just areas that I needed it just to prompt me to think about, okay, what else do I need to include here? And I used ChatGPT for that. I never, in writing that grant, took something from ChatGPT and put it into that grant. But I took the information ChatGPT gave me to look at other sources and to figure out how I wanted to say something, or to figure out where I wanted to go with it next. And then, of course, as I showed with these online course management resources, that you can quickly create some courses, at least the kind of the skeleton of some courses. I remember not too long ago, I was helping a nursing program create a curriculum for a nurse educator program at the master's level, and they wanted to use the CNE competencies as their framework. And this was before I knew about ChatGPT, but how nice it would have been to have that AI to be able to say, okay, use these competencies and create me an X number a week class. And it would have created that just quickly. Now, like I said, I would have downloaded and started putting in more depth, but at least that creativity would have been prompted, and that's a really good part of that. Okay, any questions or discussions we want to do about this?
Please feel free to unmute yourself. I see Dr. Fulginiti has a question. Go ahead and unmute yourself and ask your question.
Well, Lockhart, thank you very much. This is really informative. We've been seeing more use of AI in our classrooms. I'm over in the College of Business, but all of what you talked about is very relevant. One of the things I'm curious about is you mentioned detection software, and I'm wondering if there are any specific sites or locations or types of software that you could point us to that would help us in determining. I'm seeing a lot of those discussion questions with references at the bottom, like you mentioned, and I've detected a couple of those errors. I'm wondering if there's a highly rated detection source, please.
The one that everybody's talking about right now is the one Turnitin has created. Turnitin has recently created an AI detection software, and it apparently is the one we think is going to be the best one. Let me see. I've seen some others online, just ran across them. Here we go. I'll show you these. I'm going to pull this over so you can see my screen. But I do think Turnitin's is going to be something really good. But this is all intelligent software kinds of things that will help with, although this is not what I wanted. I thought this was the one I wanted. Sorry. Hold on a second. I saw some of them when I was looking for other things. AI detection software. Yes, that's what I want. Don't correct me. Here we go. Oh, no. here. So you can see right here is a list of different types of AI detection software, and they're just making more and more. I have not used any of these. The times that I have used, tried to detect cheating with ChatGPT in particular, I have been able to do that by just asking ChatGPT, did you write this? Because it will tell you that. It'll tell you the
Good trick.
likelihood.
That sounds fun. Thank you.
Yeah, it'll tell you the likelihood. Where I think that we're going to have more trouble is now students are getting more and more sophisticated. They now know to take it out of ChatGPT and put it in another app that decreases some of that AI language. Or they themselves might decrease some of that AI language, which I'm really kind of okay with that as long as they're doing it themselves. But these things are some things that will help you detect. Looks like, but you can see some of these are free and some of them aren't. But Turnitin has now created one and it's automatic in your Turnitin. Is that what you use now, is Turnitin?
Yes, that's correct. One of the reasons I asked is because we have some people telling us that the TINI version is not good yet, but I'm just glad to hear you're telling us that it's been updated a little bit. So I will check that.
And it's the one that everybody that's talking about AI and detection is talking about. I go through all of these Instagram types of social media to listen to what people are saying about these things, and it's the one everybody's talking about. So I do think it's probably going to be the best one. And again, like I say, look at the references and to ask ChatGPT, did you write this? Did AI write this? And it'll
That's a
give
great
you
trick.
some,
Thank you.
yeah, it'll give you some hint on that. And then
Dr.
just
Lockhart,
structure your assignments so that if they do use it, that it still needs a little creativity.
yeah, good plan. You kind of answered one of the question in the chat was about cost for AI software, and I can see this screen that you have up shows that. Are there any that you're aware of that I know Dr. Kaminsky mentioned that ChatGPT has a free version. Is there anything else you're aware of?
Everything that I showed you so far is free for at least a limited time. That's the thing. Most of these are free because you know what, AI needs all of this information in order to do its job well. It needs for you to add information to it because what it's doing is just keeps processing the information that it gets to expand its knowledge, so to speak. That's why they call it self-teaching. But so right now, most of it's free for at least a limited time. Now, what I suggest you do is use the free versions of this software to see which ones you're really going to want to use, and then maybe invest in those. I have not paid for ChatGPT. I use the free version. Even the paid version only goes through 2021, so I don't see why I would want to pay for something that's getting older by the second. But I have paid for some AI. Canva is a good example. I pay for Canva and Grammarly. Those are two AI tools because I use them a lot. And so that would be my suggestion, is go through and use the free versions till you find out what you really like. And then you might want to invest in them. And this is real new. And so these programs, I mean, I think this is somewhat to our advantage. These programs have a lot of problems in them, a lot of problems, because it isn't really people thinking. It is a machine essentially looking for patterns. And so those problems help us figure out where where our students are using them in a bad way. But we too will have problems with them as we use them. We're going to have to put, like I said, you put a little bit of work into all of this. So I wouldn't want to pay a lot of money for something that I'm constantly having to work on myself. I feel like they should be giving it to us free longer because it's using our knowledge that we put in there. So you want to find the ones that give you kind of prolonged use for free. Like Canva. Canva you can use forever for free. It just doesn't have as near as many features if you use it for free.
Good afternoon, Dr. Lockhart. Thank you. This is Nikita Hall.
Hi.
Hi, I just want to thank you for the presentation. Also, I want to say hi to you. You were one of my BSN instructors
I'm
at
looking at you saying, I know her, but was
Yeah.
your last name Hall when you were?
Jackson.
Yes, okay. Because I think I know that person, but I don't know her as Hall. Yes. Well, it's nice to see you.
You
Nice
too. Thank you.
Oh, that's awesome. That's wonderful.
Oh, I'm everywhere. I always tell my students that, guys, I am everywhere. I have created so many nurses. That's been my intelligence, is creating so many nurses over the last 30 years. So that's always gratifying when you see someone out doing good work, and I can say that was one of my students. I don't want us to be afraid of AI. I say that I am very afraid of AI, but not because of education. I'm afraid of what the world is going to do with AI. Those videos that are out there now that are created by AI are getting too realistic, and we're not going to know what's real when we see it with our own eyes. That I'm scared of. Using it in education, I'm not scared of, and I really want us to be the champions of AI, not the students using it against us, but let's use it to our advantage. Let's take ownership of AI and say it's for us. And the more that we do that, the more that these companies will create tools to suit us. Right now, yes, you're seeing a lot of tools to suit the students because that's the people who are willing to use them, probably willing to pay for them. Look at all the tools for elementary education that are out there, tons and tons and tons. I think faculty, professors across the United States need to grasp hold of these and say, let's create the tools. We want you to create the tools to help us do our job as well.
All right, any other questions?
I'm
This
just curious if you have time for one more.
Yes.
At your specific institution, let's say you found a high Turnitin
Mhm.
score for AI, but the student is adamant they have created the content and they didn't use AI, or they claim they only use Grammarly to reword. Does your institution have a specific policy on how to handle that? Because we were told that there are some false positives with the Turnitin AI, that it's about 98% accurate. Some studies say not low, like 85, and some studies say it's like 98 at best. So what would you suggest to do to handle those cases?
And that's something I've seen in the literature, is everybody's suggesting that we put in statements in our syllabus as to the use of AI. And in fact, you can ask ChatGPT what type of statements you should put in your syllabi. I have done that, and it will tell you. So that is something that everybody's looking at. And I agree with that to some extent. We haven't on a program basis done that. Individual faculty, and especially the faculty of teaching online. Those are the faculty having the most trouble with it, because you're doing a lot more paragraph creation kinds of assignments. That are wanting to put that in there. Now, how would I handle the specific situation that you just gave me? I would read that, suspect it's AI generated, get the AI generator to tell me that it is. I would create probably 4 or 5 questions off of that. I would get the student online and I would say, okay, you tell me it's not AI generated, then answer my questions. If they could answer my questions on that content, I would be happy. I'd say, okay, fine. But most likely, if they're so lazy, they can't even come up with their own discussion response or their own whatever response, they're not going to have read it and studied it either. And they're not going to be able to answer my questions. And at that point, I would say, I'm sorry, you're not able to answer the questions on something you say you wrote. And if that's the case, I can't trust that. And so that's when they would get the penalty.
I really like that response. It kind of validates what I have been trying to do because we don't support at our institution sanctioning for AI because it's just so new. We haven't finished our policy development yet. But yeah, I like to bring my students on and online. I also try to share with them why AI might not help in a certain situation.
Mhm. Yes, and I think, you know, and even then you could turn it around to another assignment, you know, well, look what you've done type of thing. You've posted something that you can't even answer basic questions off of. And so obviously that's not demonstrating learning. So probably turn that into if they want those points, they're going to have to demonstrate the learning. Say, okay, let's try again, you know, and you can demonstrate the learning from whatever the assignment was. And that would show them how that GPT or whatever they used really was not the best resource for them to do that.
Great suggestion. Thank you. Anyone else have any other?
I have 30
questions?
years of chasing cheating. My very first experience in cheating was my very first semester teaching. Students were writing notes on the inside of gum wrappers and then putting the gum back in there and putting it in the pack. And during the test was taking the gum out and chewing it and playing with the wrapper. And they had little notes on those wrappers. And I did not catch that, but some students saw it and came up and said, do you realize that there are notes on those wrappers? And I went and got one. And sure enough, little tiny notes inside those wrappers. So I have spent 30 years chasing cheating. Any
All
other
right.
questions or comments?
I don't see anything in the chat. I think you've done a wonderful job. We so appreciate your time and your expertise. Thank you so much.
I hope, I'd like to see a show of hands, how many are going to be willing to use AI to do to their advantage? I see a few popping up here. Because that's what I want to see. I want y'all to grasp this and say, this is for us. Thank you.
Wonderful. Thank you all again. All right, I'm going to stop recording here.
Thank you, Robin. You did a fantastic job.
Thank you.
This is a really timely presentation. So I really enjoyed it. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
This was fabulous. Thanks.
Anytime. Thank you.
All right. I'm just hanging around too in case anyone has any other questions. All right. Is there anything else?
Linda, I actually sent you an email. Can you hang
Yes.
at the end? I have two really
Oh,
quick
yes.
questions, if you don't
Oh,
mind.
sure. Yes, I've stopped recording, so we can do that. Robin, I'll be reaching out to you by email then. All right.
All right. Thank you so much. Goodbye.
Oh, goodbye.
I'm still showing that the recording is running. Are you stopping it?
Oh, you're right.